Melody Shari gave fans something huge to talk about when she shared her exclusive Ebony magazine interview. And this interview has completely shaken up how people are looking at her future. Now, before we dive deep, I need you to stay with me until the end of this video because every single piece of this story connects. And the most shocking revelations don't come until later. If you click off too early, you'll miss how this ties back to Martell Holt, Destiny, Peyton, Marseille, and Letitia Scott, Morris and Kimmy Scott, Miss Wanda, and even the executive producer, Carlos King. Trust me, by the time we're done, you'll see why Melody's choice to leave Love and Marriage Huntsville isn't just a career move. It's a turning point that could change the entire direction of the show. So let's start with the interview itself. Ebony titled it, "Why Melody Shari Left Love and Marriage Huntsville for Her Next Chapter." Right away, that headline tells us this isn't just about leaving a reality show, it's about Melody stepping into a bigger purpose. A new phase of her life. In the article, Melody talks openly about saying goodbye to reality TV, but hello to defining success on her own terms. From her booming beauty brand, 7th Avenue Beauty, to her production company, Tilted Crowns, and even her work as co-owner of Nubian TV. That's huge because she's not just walking away from something, she's building something bigger, something that gives her control. And when you think about how much she endured on Love and Marriage Huntsville, it makes sense why she's choosing this path. Now, let's pause for a second because here's where the first hook comes in. You might be asking yourself, what exactly did Melody endure that pushed her to leave the show for good? Well, that's where things get real, and you're going to want to hear this because what she went through on-screen and off-screen connects back to the cast in ways that still affect the show today. And remember, I need you to stay until the end because the last part of this story is what really changes everything, Melody said in her Ebony interview. Whenever you walk away from the lion's den, why would you go back where the lions are? That's not just a random quote. That's a message to the fans who keep asking if she ever returned to Love and Marriage Huntsville. And if you've been watching since season 1, you know exactly what she means. We all saw how Melody's marriage with Martell Holt unraveled on camera. We saw the cheating, the disrespect, and eventually the painful divorce that played out in front of the world. That alone would have been enough to make anyone walk away. But Melody also had to deal with castmates who didn't support her. She was constantly gaslit by Marseille Scott, Letitia Scott, and even Destiny Peyton after their friendship fell apart. Add Miss Wanda into the mix with her constant attacks, and it was clear Melody was surrounded by negativity that was affecting her not just professionally, but emotionally and mentally. And when you top that off with the executive producer Carlos King stirring things up for storylines, it was a recipe for trauma that no paycheck could make worth it. And here's the wild part. Even though Melody has said over and over that she's not going back, people still don't believe her. Fans flood her comments asking if she'll ever return, if she'll reconsider, or if there's a chance she'll film at least part-time. But let me make it plain the way Melody did in her own words, she is not going back. If she does reality TV again, it will be on her terms with her own vision, and not under the control of the same producer or the same toxic environment that drained her for years. Now, stay with me, because this is where the Ebony interview really starts to reveal how deep this decision goes. Melody said, "To protect my own emotional health, my own mental health, I don't allow myself to engage or be a part of trauma that I'm still healing from." Oh, that line alone should tell you everything you need to know about why she walked away. And it also explains why she unfollowed certain content creators, why she stopped engaging with clips from the show, and why she doesn't even want to be tagged in posts about Love and Marriage Huntsville anymore. For Melody, the show is a trigger, and she's not about to let anything or anyone pull her back into a space that harmed her. Think about that for a second. This is a woman who helped create the show, who literally pitched the idea alongside Martell Holt, who was there from day one helping to launch it. And yet, after 9 seasons, she was left feeling unsupported, mistreated, and emotionally drained. That tells you a lot about what was happening behind the cameras as well as in front of them. Fans have seen the infidelity, the screaming matches, the family drama, but what they didn't always see was how those moments carried over into her real life. Melody has been very open about how the show impacted her mental health, how it triggered her even off screen, and how it was almost impossible to heal while still being part of it. Now, here's another hook for you. Melody leaving the show is about her healing? Then what does that mean for the rest of the cast? How does Martell move forward without her as his main storyline? How do Marsa and Letitia keep stirring the pot when their main rival is gone? And what happens to Destiny? Peyton, who already lost her friendship with Melody and struggled to keep her storyline going. Stick with me because we're going to connect all those dots. And it's going to make you see the bigger picture in a way you might not have thought about before. In the Ebony piece, Melody also revealed something else that shows just how powerful her pivot has been. She talked about not even wanting to use TikTok at first, but then she leaned into it. And now her 7th Avenue beauty brand is pulling in millions in sales from that platform alone. She even got featured as one of the top brands during Black History Month. That's what happens when you take control of your narrative. Instead of letting a reality show define her, Melody is using her own platform to build wealth, inspire others, and create opportunities. And you can't help but compare that to Martell Holt, who seems to still be stuck in court battles, struggling with custody and facing setbacks that Melody has already moved past. The contrast couldn't be clearer. But before we get too deep into that, let me remind you, don't click off early. Because while Melody is thriving, there are still connections to Martell, the Scotts, Destiny, and even Miss Wanda that prove her decision to walk away is affecting everyone else too. And by the end of this video, we're going to talk about how Carlos King himself might be forced to rethink the entire future of love and marriage. Huntsville? Now that its star has left for good. And let's be real here. The dynamic of Love and Marriage Huntsville has never been the same since Melody Shari Rogers stepped away. You can look at people like Martell Holt, who continues to stir up drama and stay in mess instead of focusing on growth. You see Letitia Scott and Marsa Scott trying to keep their storyline alive. But it's the same old narrative with rumors, control, and lack of transparency. Then you have Maurice Scott and Kimmy Scott, who many viewers feel don't really show much beyond surface-level issues. The energy has shifted, and no matter what anyone says, Melody was the backbone of that show. Without her presence, the cracks are really starting to show. When Melody was on the show, she brought realness, she brought class, and she brought transparency. Even when things weren't easy for her, she opened up and shared her life, her pain, and her healing journey with the audience. Compare that to some of the other cast members who have been holding back or hiding parts of their reality. And it's clear why fans connected with Melody in such a deep way. People want authenticity. People want to see someone who overcomes. And Melody has shown that from day one. That's why fans continue to follow her outside of the show and support her businesses. Another thing I want to point out is how Melody has taken what could have been a downfall and turned it into a stepping stone. Look at how she handled her divorce from Martell. It was public, it was messy, and it was painful. But instead of letting that define her, she used it as fuel to create something bigger. Meanwhile, Martell is still out here chasing attention and dragging her name. While Melody is sitting down with Ebony Magazine, Forbes, Sheen, and other major publications that recognize her worth. That right there shows the difference between someone who is moving forward and someone who is stuck in the past. Let's also not forget the way the cast treated her while she was on the show. Melody endured gaslighting, not just from Martell, but also from Letitia, Marsa, and even sometimes Kimmy. Instead of supporting her, many of them sided with Martell or stayed neutral when they should have spoken up. Yet, here she is today, standing tall, building empires, and thriving without the very people who tried to tear her down. And that is why so many of us continue to cheer her on, because she's proof that you can walk away from toxic environments and still shine brighter than ever. I also want to say this. When you look at the ratings now versus when Melody was on, the proof is in the numbers. Fans have lost interest because the storylines feel recycled and lack that spark that Melody brought. People can say what they want, but the truth is the audience tunes in for authenticity. And that is something Melody carried on her shoulders season after season. Without her, the show feels hollow. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that because numbers don't lie and the viewers have spoken.